Le vedi le slides?
Sì.
Yeah, sì.
Ok, vado solo a fare l'ultimo check.
Hi guys, so in 5/10 minutes we're going to start. We let the people in and then we will start. So Felix will start to moderate the event, and later on we will have some of our guests to talk about their experiences.
Felix, tutto ok quindi?
Tutto ok.
Ok. Vabbè, allora io mi muto e qualsiasi cosa, beh, sto qua, qualsiasi cosa ti chiamo. Aldo. Good luck.
Ah, grazie Denise. Thank you.
So guys, 2 minutes, going to start.
Benny, is that a taste of the American music that you've gotten whilst being on the West Coast?
Huh?
Is that a taste of the American music that you've gotten whilst being on the West Coast?
I'm on the
East Coast, sorry.
We have that. Honestly, if you cannot sing a song, they like it here. That's like the craziest thing. If you can't sing it because it's just boom, 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 and people twerking around, they like it here. If you can sing it, not really popular. But yeah, I'm just vibing.
Awesome. So I guess we have a little bit of a taste.
Yeah, there are many different things.
Ty czujesz nas?
Huh?
Okay.
So, shall we start? Felix, are you ready? Okay.
All good.
So I would like to introduce myself. I'm Aldo Corigliano. I attend the second year of law here in Bocconi, and I'm co-president of B-Lab Unilab Network together with Saverio Ciavarella. We as B-Lab do mainly two types of services that we would like to divide themselves, being the first one as the work as the representatives. So the work our representatives do in all the collegial bodies, which consists in bringing all the proposal towards the administration offices and getting them accepted. Plus, we also do what is called as services toward students, and this is clearly one of the examples of one service that we erogate towards students, because we organize something like crash labs or events, conferences in the universities and things like that. We do also some type of activities which are external to university, but they implement the life of each of us, such as the event we're doing on next week, which is Ski Lab, with the open meetings that we do every month. So if you want to get involved and know something more about our association, you can come to one of them. But today I would like Felix to bring forward all the events. So Felix, you can go.
Hi everyone, I'm Felix Reimnitz. I'm in my second year of BF, and today I'll be the one, talking you through this whole experience, this whole, global experience, where I'll be interviewing various students from all over the world. Just as an example, we'll be going all the way from, the East Coast and West Coast of America to Australia, to China, to Latin America. And I hope that in the end of this presentation, even though it may be a little long and you may not partake for the whole of it, you have a clearer idea of where you might want to go on exchange and what kind of cultures or experiences intrigue you the most. So let's start with the basics of how to apply on exchange and what exchange is. So the application deadline for us for going on exchange is on the 2nd of, it starts on the 2nd of March, and the deadline for you to have submitted your application is on the 8th of March at 3 p.m. So be careful not to think that it's at midnight. So the application happens through Punto Blue, and you will need to upload a language certificate under a certain format, and you'll have to print the receipt of registration. Just a little notice about these first 4 or 5 slides and where I'm getting them from. You can find these all on the B-Lab exchange guide, which should be on, the link should be available on our Instagram and on our Facebook. So with regard to requirements, this is a question that everyone really loves asking. So as we all know, it's when you're in your second year, you participate in the regular enrollment, and you will need at least 60% of the credits from your first year registered in your Punto Blue. The minimum weighted GPA for going on exchange is 22 out of 31, and the exams only taken until the 2nd of February 2022, so that was a couple of weeks ago, are the ones that are considered. After that, sadly, not anymore. Also, the hyperlinks don't work on the slides as you're seeing them because I'm presenting them, but as again, you can find them online on our guide. So with regards to languages, you must provide either a first language Bocconi exam or a second language internal exam. You must, or you might have a high school diploma in the required language or an international certification. So this can be something like the DELF for French or the TOEFL IELTS for English. And a big big important factor is you cannot participate in an exchange in your own country, but most of you already know that. Students must provide one of the TOEFL or the IELTS. It may not be awarded more than 2 years before your application and 3 years before your departure date. It must be academic, online is not accepted, and in the case of extra language requirements, it's necessary that you upload the certificate. Fees, so if you are doing the exchange, you only pay the Bocconi fees. This does not, however, and I think I'll be supported here by the people that have gone on exchange and will talk here, this does not always include housing fees in the place where you end up going. But yeah, regular Bocconi fees apply. So this means, obviously, if you're going to America and you would be paying something around 70,000, you will only be paying the 14 or 13,000 that you pay for Bocconi. So the costs covered by students are the journey, room and board, and accessory costs. Scholarships are given by ESU, Erasmus scholarship for the European destinations exist, and there are other possible scholarships based on specific agreements, but it would be too long to go through all of them now. So, Francesco or Frappo, are you here? Would you like to perhaps turn on your camera and your mic? Ah, here we go. There he is. He just joined at the right time.
Hello guys, can you hear me? Sorry for being
yeah,
late.
we can hear you. All right.
So,
no worries. So So tell me a bit about yourself and your experience and where you went.
So, I personally went to Melbourne, Victoria for kind of 5 months, and it was till today I think it was the best experience in my life, to be honest. Because there has been some downsides, like for example the fact that there was COVID actually, because I went to Australia in January 2020 and I left in July 2020, so I've literally lived the first COVID wave in the first person there in Australia. Fortunately, there was some mitigating circumstances, like for example the fact that while here it was winter, there it was summer, so the COVID was a little bit weakened by that seasonal effect, and we're a little Bocconese colony there, we're kind 9 Bocconiani, and when COVID first hit Australia, there was a kind of pressure from our parents to come back to Italy, to go back to Italy, and then we decided that given that Italy was fucked up, we decided that the only possibility for us to stay there and not going back to Italy, so the only possibility to continue our exchange was to live that experience together, because we are in Melbourne. There was 3 universities. I was personally in the RMIT University. Then there was the Melbourne University and the Monash University. So we were 9 Bocconiani spread among these 3 universities, and we decided that the only way to face this problem together was to giving up our student accommodations, and we rented a villa all together, and we spent 5 months together in this villa. And I can personally say that I think that for that period I was the only person having fun in the world. So it was kind of amazing.
So Francesco,
And-
tell me a bit about your experience. So what was it like studying, halfway across the world? Was, the intensity similar to that of Bocconi? Did you go traveling around much? Did you see a lot of Australia? Did you perhaps go to New Zealand as well?
Honestly, yesterday I've heard some pieces of another pitch from another ex-exchange student. I don't think that really exchange is about studying. It's like a collateral, something that you have to do in your like a side activity, but it's not really about studying. Studying there is easy. I mean, if you have been trained at Bocconi. Sorry.
So how did you make the most of that experience? The freedom. What did you end up doing? Did you go, perhaps swimming with some sharks?
First of all, the first priority for all of you in this experience is creating a. I think it's very inappropriate, the word network, but this is the kind of sense. I mean, because network is more if from a working standpoint. I think that you have to create a network of friends, of real friends, and this is what I think the group of 9 people that I lived with in Australia. It is a group of people that will last for all my life, and I'm sure about it. And so look for your brothers, look for your sisters, to build real friendships, because I think that in Bocconi, in the bachelor degree, sometimes we are too much stressed. This doesn't allow us to build those real friendships that you will build in exchange. This is the keywords: friendship. Then, of course, with the friends, you can travel a lot. I've traveled a lot. I did 3 road trips in Australia. One of 1,800 kilometers, the other of 700 kilometers, and the other one of 2,000 kilometers. Something amazing, something that you can do just on the other side of the world. And then, so friendship, traveling, and the third keyword is distance. If you want to go to Australia, I mean, it's the place where it's the farthest place in the world. You cannot imagine another place more farther than Australia, other than another planet, probably. So, and you will enjoy this distance. I mean, so those are my 3 keywords: friendship, traveling, road trips, possibly, and
So
distance.
I have a last question for you, Francesco. Why did you choose Australia above all other exchange destinations that you had?
I wanted to go to a unique place. Okay, so outside Europe, a unique place, something that you're gonna tell your children about. I mean, one of those places you go once in your lifetime, or twice, maybe, if you're fortunate. But at the same time, I didn't want to go an uncivilized place, because sometimes there is this trade-off in life. If you wanna go in a remote place, you have for sure to go, I don't know, Thailand, South Africa, some place with where civilization is barely arrived, and then and where you cannot enjoy the benefits of a modern life. I mean Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, those are metropolises. You have all the frenetic metropolis. I mean, you have all the upsides of living in a big city life. I mean, and so I think this is Australia. It's the farthest place in the world, but it is even very modern and futuristic from some perspective. I mean, so.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Francesco, for being here. We're so happy to, have you here, and I hope you've been an amazing influence on everyone else, and perhaps a lot of people will choose Australia after your presentation. So thank you, Francesco.
I mean, thank you very much for your invitation, and I hope that someone will choose Australia because it deserves.
So now we're going to move on to Benedetta Magni. So we are moving from one extreme to the other extreme, and now we are going to the East Coast, as I stand corrected, of the United States of America. Hi, Benedetta.
Hi, hello. I'm very excited about this.
So tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me about your experience, who you are.
Well, hi, I'm Benedetta, and I'm a third-year BF student, although it's been months I haven't said that anymore. I'm a BF finance student, and I'm currently on exchange at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, which is in North Carolina, as the name says. So it was always kind of my dream to go and study in a campus in the United States, and now I'm here. It feels crazy, and honestly, I can't express how excited and happy I am to be here, but you probably can see it. I'm all UNC merch, and yeah, honestly, it's the way you imagine it. I'm gonna be. I had super high expectations, and they are all matched up until now. So I'm just happy, and yeah.
I mean, you just answered the question I was about to ask. Going to America is a bit of everyone's dream, and that's why, US universities are so coveted. And I just wanted to ask, for example, with, the huge libraries, the huge sports facilities, and the camaraderie that prevails throughout all United States universities that, you see on TV, is this all true? Are your expectations of the United States fully true? Or are there some, things that didn't really live up to your expectations?
So far, I must say I'm very happy. In terms of studying, it's a lot different than Bocconi, and you could say it's easier, but it's mainly the content that is easier, because then the structure is that you have many assignments. So I have weeks when I have 10 or 11 assignments all in 1 week. But the content is easier than what we do at Bocconi, and they're faster to do that an assignment than we would have. But it's more of a continuous type of grading than just an exam, because we don't even have final exams for a lot of subjects. When it comes to sports, that's the way to get to my heart. It's amazing. We get to go to free basketball games. We have to join a lottery, but we go for free. I'm going to one tonight, actually. Like, you can see me there. I was at basketball games. Honestly, it's just, there's an incredible vibe. You can go and get on a sport field or get a court and play whenever you want. So like, I play volleyball with friends. I decide 20 minutes before I walk in, and they give you a ball and do everything for you. Then we have free gyms, free pools, free access to literally everything is included. We have, okay, in movies there's like Greek life and frat parties. There's that. So we go there, and there's this huge parties with tons of people jumping around and drinking. Well, if you're not 21 like me, you only can do that in house parties because they're super strict and they won't let you in bars. But honestly, I'm just having the best time ever. I think you can.
All right, so now to move to a little bit of a mundane question, but a lot of students here will have to or would have to apply for, insurance and visas to go to the US. How did you sort that out?
The visa part is a bit cumbersome, but it's just more than difficult. You'll have to sort out a few documents and send there's a very clear list of the things you're required to do, and you just have to send it in. And then I didn't even have to go to an interview at the American embassy. I had to send my passport, and then they send it back with the visa. When it comes to insurance, your school is gonna make you get one. But depending on the school, you don't actually need to have one. I mean, you need to have one to get into the school, but you don't need to get the school one. So like, for example, what I did was that I got a private one, which was a quarter of the price of the school one. So if you go to the US, feel free to like hit me up and I'll tell you which one I got because it covers mostly everything for any place you're going to, except the schools that are actually required to get that.
I don't think I can hear you anymore, but that just might be me. Could someone in the chat verify if you can hear Benedetta or not?
Can you
I don't
hear
know,
me?
I can hear you.
Benedetta, Felix.
It
Can
was,
hear
it was
Benedetta.
Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, when you will get to that point, feel free to text me because there's like cheaper entrance to cover everything. So yeah, that's an important thing. And don't go and spend $1,000 on a super expensive entrance that you don't need.
All right, so Benedetta, why did you choose the East Coast instead of the West Coast?
I actually applied to both.
Was there a specific reason?
I applied to both, but like the East Coast, like this specific school was one of my top choices, simply because I'm very into sports, and this place is known, like UNC is known for Michael Jordan, is known for basketball, is known for the sports vibe. We have teams in every single sport, and I'm not gonna go like, but we are kind of good in some of them. So I don't know. I just felt like it was a place where I could have fun, and I know that it's a place where academics are also really excellent. So it was a good combo between student life and academics, and that's why I chose this specific school. But I didn't really choose the East Coast over the West Coast for any specific reason.
Awesome. So in terms of, being in the United States and being in the East Coast, what have been your, travel experiences? Have you been able to go places, or are you mostly, stuck on campus?
No, actually, if you time manage well, you are able to move around. I've been to Richmond last weekend, Richmond, Virginia. Like we got a car, road trip with friends. Very cheap and terrible hotel experience because it was a homeless shelter, but it was super fun. I don't know how we ended up alive, but it was super fun. And now we're probably going to Atlanta. It's like really easy to move around, and it's really fun. Especially if you have a nice group of friends to move around with. And then there's spring break, which is actually a break, not like Bocconi breaks where you have to study. It's like a break where you don't have anything to do. So we're going to Puerto Rico, which is still in the United States, so you don't need to sort out any papers and stuff. It's really easy to move around. Even if you're in a lost place like Chapel Hill, North Carolina, you'll find a way to move around as long as somebody can drive. For example, in North Carolina, the Italian license works perfectly, my license, and any European license works. And then you just have to check from state to state whether your license is still valid, but it's really easy to move around.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Benedetta. I know you have a class to get to, so I don't want to keep you for too long. So enjoy your class. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you've swayed some opinions.
My pleasure, and if you need anything, feel free to hit me up.
Awesome. So now we move on to Simone. Simone, are you here?
Yes, hi everyone. I am Simone De Luca.
Hi, Simone.
I'm a CLIM student. I'm currently in San Diego. I've been here for 1 month so far, and I will be here until June.
So, Simone, tell us, I'm going to ask you the same question that I first did to Benedetta. Going to America is the dream. It's, the American universities, especially with only paying the Bocconi fees. Have your expectations turned out to be true, or have there been certain things that haven't managed to live up to what you expected?
No, for sure, my expectations about California were high, and they have been revealed true 100%. The sceneries are beautiful, a lot of sunset, as you see, and also a lot of sceneries. Everything here in San Diego is super nice. Also, there are plenty of things to do, not only in San Diego, but also near here. And so, yeah, I've been here for only 1 month so far. So we have not seen everything. But yeah, there are a lot of things to do and places to see. And also the workload is not as much as Bocconi. Also here we have a lot of assignments and homeworks to do. But in general, the workload is less for sure less than Bocconi. You don't have a whole book. You just have to, keep up with all the assignments you have, and just don't forget nothing. But at the end, the final exam will be much easier and will account less on your grade. And also the campus is super nice, a lot of facilities and things for sports. Also here we have a basketball teams, free games, lot of basketball, of baseball. There is the picture of the basketball stadium. And so, yeah, also for sport, as any other campus, also SDSU, it's super good.
So tell me a bit about, what does your average day look like in university? Do you, wake up late after a hard night of partying, or is it more, consistent, consistent daily schedule?
Yeah, actually, we do wake up late because I personally have classes all in the afternoon, around 2-3 p.m. I don't know why all classes are at this time. So yeah, we often wake up late. Then you have to study a little bit, not too much, but you have to study a little bit during the afternoon or in the morning. And especially, as I said, for assignments and things you have to do that require you a lot of time, but it's not too much demanding. You don't stress here, I think. And then, yeah, there are a lot of parties also, especially house parties. Here, people don't go too much clubbing. You can go only if you are 21, because they are very strict about this, and also about alcohol if you are not 21. But yeah, in there are a lot of house parties here near SDSU in campus, and also outside of campus. For example, I live in an off-campus residence, and there are plenty of parties, especially during the weekend.
So there's a quick question from Anna asking whether you're in San Diego State University.
Yeah, I am in SDSU. There is San Diego State University. And yeah, there is also another university here. There is UCS, but you cannot apply directly to UCS. Like I think at least last year you had to apply to University of California, and then they sort you out in all the campuses they have.
So Simone, in the top left photo, you can see this, very big house and you guys all watching TV. So what's it like in finding an apartment or finding a house? What's the case going to university in America? Is it usually a house, or how did you do it?
Yeah, the picture was the Super Bowl. So yeah, so such a big event here. The house was full of people, or American, dressed in football, uniform. So it was fun. And for the housing, me and other Italians live in an off-campus residence where most of people from Bocconi go to when they go to San Diego, and it's near to the university. And actually, it was there was the possibility to stay on campus, but the prices were not so good. So yeah, most of people stay here, and it's super fun. You have also free gym, also the pool there is.
Can I ask, if you don't mind, how much do you end up paying per month in comparison to, let's say, a Bocconi residence for apartments?
Yeah, I live in a Bocconi residence, and I pay pretty much the same. But the thing is, I have to share the room. So I am with a roommate in my room. But eventually, I pay the same. If I wanted to have a private room, I would have paid much more. I think more than $1,000 per month.
And with regards to traveling experiences, where have you been, or what experiences have you been able to make whilst being on the West Coast?
Well, there are a lot of things to do, places to travel. Actually, we are planning to go to Los Angeles next weekend. So far, we have been only around San Diego, also because we didn't have a car, but now we rented a car, so we are going to Los Angeles also. I think in the next month to Joshua Tree National Park, Death Valley National Park, also Tijuana. There is a city in Mexico, and it's very near San Diego because San Diego is near the border, only 20 minutes with the car. So yeah, for traveling, I think California is amazing. There are very lot of places to go to.
All right. And last of all, what would you say, have you experienced or have you spoken to Benedetta? Would you say there are any notable comparisons to be made between the East Coast and the West Coast?
Well, I think the East Coast is a more close environment, a closer environment among campus. I've never been there, but I've heard that. And here as SDSU, we are a close community, but many people don't live in campus. Many people are also from San Diego, because actually SDSU, it's very cheap if you are a California resident. So many people that live around San Diego go to SDSU and actually live at their parents' house. So yeah, maybe it's not the most typical close environment that you can find maybe in other campuses, but still I don't find nothing bad. Like I live off campus, as I said, and this also enables me to meet people from other university, to travel and go around.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Simona. It was a pleasure to have you and have you talk about the West Coast. Thank you so much. I just want to say to all of you that are here, before I move on to Alessandro with Canada, if you guys have any questions for any of the speakers or guests, please feel free to write them in the chat, or any questions about exchanges. This is like the moment you'll have to have them all here on call and be able to respond to your messages. So yeah, just in case you have any questions, feel free to ask. The meeting is recorded. It will be posted on YouTube. So that is no problem. It will be on B-Lab's YouTube channel. So Alessandro, hello. Introduce yourself.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Alessandro, and I'm currently enrolled in my third year CLAM student. And actually, I've been in Canada last semester. So you can start with the questions.
All right. So first question is, most people think of their exchange as, going to America, making, a bang for your buck, and using all of the facilities that they have there. But then again, Canada doesn't come up, as frequently in discussions. And so why did you choose Canada instead of the United States?
So basically, the first reason was that, as you may know, Canada is the only option if you want to go in America during your first semester. So basically, if you want to go to the US, you should leave Italy in the second semester. So basically, I wanted to leave Italy during my first semester. And at the same time, I wanted to leave the experience of being an American university student. So basically, leave the lifestyle there also in Canada. And I've chosen Kingston because actually was also the first city in Canada for the house party. So basically, it was a bit fun. We had fun. Yeah.
With regards to, I'm gonna reuse this question again. With regards to expectations, but this time your expectation for an American university, did that live up to Kingston?
Yeah, actually Kingston is not a big city, such as, for example, Toronto or Montreal. So it was a quiet place that I really enjoyed and I really liked, because I had the possibility to gather with some other students, to get involved in many activities there, to meet not only Italian students, but also exchange students and many other Canadian students as well. So basically, actually, it was fun. For sure, the lifestyle was a bit different compared to Milan. compared to the different activities that we can do during our leisure time, during maybe the weekend, maybe if you want to go to the disco or having fun with your friends in the center of the city. Kingston was a bit different, but overall we had fun. We tried to organize some dinners with exchange students, with Canadian students, with also the other Italians during all the also festivities and so on in Kingston. So we had fun overall. Yeah.
So a question pretty much from a few people is, why did you choose to leave in the first semester rather than in the second? Like, what was your prime reason?
Yeah, actually, I saw that the COVID situation was getting better during the first semester. So basically, I wanted to mainly organize my study plan. So to do all the mandatory courses during the first semester and to have much more time to spend on the thesis. So basically, that's the main reason. But yeah, it's quite the same living during the first or the second semester for the exchange program. Also, it's up to us at the end. So if you are able to organize your time properly, you can also do all the courses, mandatory courses during your first semester, and then you can go to the US or in exchange during the second semester. So
awesome. And so tell us a bit about your specific experiences in Canada. Also, let me know if you guys can see the slides. They are your photos on there, right?
Yeah, actually, I have a problem because I cannot see the slides, but I think the others can do it. So
is that the case for everyone else? Can you guys see the slides which say lovely?
Oh,
that must be a problem on my side then. Give me a second. I will reshare.
I'll start reading some questions. Maybe, I don't know. Will most universities in the US have exchange in the first semester or second semester this year? I think most of the universities, but will have the exchange program scheduled for the second semester. So basically, as Margot already said, are there travel opportunities in Canada? Yes, there are many opportunities, as you can see also in the slide, because actually we had the fall break. So a week during the second week of October, a week that free from university, so you have time to rest a little bit from the university, even if actually the workload is a little it's a bit low compared to Bocconi, but we had this week that and we had a chance to do a road trip in Alberta. And Alberta is a country most actually known for the lakes, for the mountains, for the national parks as well. And so, as you can see, we went to Alberta and Toronto, Montreal. So you have time to to organize your trips during your exchange program. And so basically, if you manage your time properly, you can do whatever you want. At the same time, as also the other students from the US said, we had many assignments to do, many quizzes, group projects, oral presentations as well, oral exams that counts for the most of the grades. So basically, the final exam is not so difficult. It's not so hard to pass. So basically, if you manage your time properly with the deadlines, so you can do whatever you want. So basically, also traveling around Canada and also America, because if you take the plane, an hour and 30, you can arrive also to New York or Boston. So it's quite close, Kingston to the America.
Awesome. And so tell us perhaps, what are the things you would suggest people to do the most if they chose Canada? Like, what is a must do?
First of all, have fun for sure, because the experience, the exchange experience is living the opportunities and grasp all the opportunities that you have during your staying. So basically, not focusing only on studying, because studying is a marginal part of your experience for sure is if you are, used to study frequently during at Bocconi, you will find the university as on exchange completely a bit easier compared to Bocconi. So basically, my suggestion is traveling, have fun, and know many people as much as you can. And I would like to answer a question because I think here, but was that due to COVID, or is it usually like that about, I think, the US? But yeah, I think that also the previous years, there were many actually universities in the US, especially during the second semester. So basically, it's not due to COVID, this situation actually. Yeah. And I would like to say another thing about the cost of life, because I think that, for example, there are many of you that would like to know, how is the cost of life also in Canada compared to America or also in Italy. So compared to Italy, the cost of your staying, the house is a bit cheaper, because actually I had the possibility, to get an apartment with the other Italians and also Canadians, and the cost of the apartment was really a bit cheaper compared to Italy, but the groceries are a bit expensive actually, and especially the raw materials and but also the meat and so on actually was a bit more expensive compared to Italy. So yeah.
But talking about COVID beforehand, how has Canada and how did Kingston, handle the COVID pandemic? Did you really feel it? Did you experience it, or was it almost not visible?
Actually, it was not so visible at all because we had only to assign a form that actually certificate us of having all the COVID shots and so on. But overall, the university was you can feel the absence of COVID there, and we had fun. There were no limitation at all. And when I arrived, the main problem that we had was due to the border in Canada, because the border was closed until the 9th of September, but the lesson started on the 5th of September. So we had this problem. And the only way to get access to Canada was by having the study permit. And it was a bit difficult to get it, even because actually the application process was long, and at the same time there were many people applying. So basically, we received the study permit a few days before the departure. So we had this problem, but overall we didn't feel the COVID. And there were no limitations, no rules, and so basically we had party mostly all the nights during the first days of September, and then of course when the university started, we had less parties, but yeah, we didn't feel the COVID.
All right, thank you so much, Alessandro. It was a pleasure having you and sharing your experience of Canada. Hopefully now people don't see Canada as a second to the United States, but also being on parallel to US universities. So, thank you.
Hope so. Good night, guys.
All right, so now we move on to Hong Kong. So a complete other side of the world. And Antonino, walk us through who you are.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me well?
Yep. All good.
Okay, cool. I think there still is the slide about Ale with Canada. I don't know if I have to request control and change it.
No, don't worry. I'll just do it very quickly. That's
no problem. Anyways, guys, nice to meet you all. My name is Antonino. I'm a finance student right now at Bocconi, but I've attended CLEF while I was at the bachelor, and during the bachelor I went to Hong Kong for my exchange. So it's been a really great experience. I don't know if you want to ask me some questions that you gathered and I can answer those, or.
So one question that is quite a slightly politically driven question, but why did you choose Hong Kong and not mainland China? I mean, it's quite obvious that they're completely different places, but given, the political situation, why Hong Kong and not China?
Sure. No, there are various reasons to that. First, I found Hong Kong to be more international as a city, because it is, of course, it has a special status compared to the rest of China, and therefore I thought that it would have been easier to go in and out of the city during my period there. And in fact, it was like this. I mean, it was. I was correct in the sense that if you go for your exchange to China, make sure that you know that your visa does not cover multiple entrances in the country, just one entrance and one exit. While for Hong Kong, you can travel as much as you want in and out of the country with a tourist visa, basically. And the second reason was that I didn't consider China because I didn't want to go to China for a cultural purpose or to learn Chinese. I wanted to stay in the Southeast Asia area. So for me, it was either Singapore or Hong Kong. And Hong Kong was a financial center. So I studied finance. I thought it was more fit for me.
So given that Hong Kong and Bokoni are both inside cities and to a certain extent, economic centers of their respective countries, what would you say are the main differences that you found between Bokoni and Hong Kong as city-based universities?
Okay, so you mean about universities? I would say that the biggest difference is that even though you are, like, I was at HKU, which is one of the many universities that have a partnership with Bokoni in Hong Kong, but is one of the most central one. So you experience both things, which are basically on a side city life. So just like in Milan, you live the city in full. But the second is campus life. Given that this city is a weird city, there are areas in which in which it's very crowded and it looks like the center of Milan or any other metropolitan area, and there are areas which are there in which there is countryside, and my university was there. Even though close to the center, you could feel you were living your campus life. You went to university in the early morning and you just left at night after having eaten there maybe and having studied a little bit more after dinner. So you could do sports there, you could do many different things. Bocconi, it's now better than before, than when I was at the bachelor. There is a sports center and stuff, but it's more sort of blended with the city. While when you're at HKU, you feel that you are on a campus and not necessarily in Hong Kong.
Okay, so to forward, a few questions. First of all, you went pre-pandemic, right, to Hong Kong?
Yeah, immediately.
So you didn't have any quarantine to experience at all? No.
But fun fact, while I was there, now everyone has forgotten about this because of the pandemic. But while I was there were protests and the clashes between students and police due to the political situation there. So we had a long period, actually half of our exchange was online, even though we were there.
So how did that affect, the experience that you had? Would you say that it was an extremely valuable experience in that you learned a lot about their culture, or would you say it hindered your exchange experience?
No, it was absolutely a valuable experience. Actually, it may sound bad in the way I'm saying it, but the thing that we were at the core of such a an historical event, things were happening in Hong Kong in that moment that made us feel more part of the city, of what was happening there, even though we were tourists. Basically, we were there for just 4 months and then we would have gone back to Italy as we did. But I believe that we experienced most of the authentical aspects of the city, which has a lot of authentical aspects. It's even though it's a financial center, business center, it's very authentical, with a big history, with a very nice history. And that's it. And we were among Bocconi students, but we met a lot of local people there, a lot of local students there.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the photo now in the top left should be a photo of the protest that you took.
Yeah. Exactly.
So one question from Agnese is life expensive in Hong Kong? And secondly, did you study a lot?
Okay, so life is less expensive than I think other destinations, in the sense that Hong Kong is considered to be one of the most expensive cities in the world, and that's because of real estate. So basically, apartments. But you're usually, when you're a student there, you're not renting an apartment on your own. You can if you want, but it's very expensive. Usually, universities provide accommodation, either like directly, or they have a sort of click day, just like in Bocconi, and you have to be quick, of course, but you can obtain like a room in a dorm, paying basically nothing. It was around 350 euros, so nothing, much less than Milan. And the groceries sometimes may be more expensive, but nobody, almost no one does grocery shopping in Hong Kong, because everyone eats at the canteen or at the restaurants. If you eat local food, it's very cheap. You can do that every day. And maybe like having fun, going out for the night, maybe a little more expensive than Milan, but it's not that burden. And did you study a lot? Not really. Not really, not because it was a difficult university, but it's a completely different method to Bocconi. So you don't spend entire weeks closed in your room studying the same exact subject, the same exact exam, but you have like intermediate, not exams, but tests or group projects, so you have less pressure on the exam.
So a point that's been, brought up with a lot of the students that have so far spoken is, the ability of themselves being to travel and to cross borders. And I know you say that half of your experience was taken away by the protests, but how was the traveling scene from your end?
I have to be honest, it wasn't half, it was less than half. It was kind of 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, even though we moved online for a longer period, but we stayed there because we wanted to stay there. And we also traveled more because, as you can imagine, when you have all the lectures moved online, and at that time it was something like very surprising. We never had anything like that. Now with COVID, it's more normal, but at that time we never had experienced anything like that. So we traveled a lot. The opportunities are all there. Hong Kong is at the center of Southeast Asia, so we went to Cambodia, Thailand, South Korea, Macau, Philippines, like all countries that are easily reachable. The plane may be not really expensive. It's like traveling across Europe, and there are low-cost companies, and the accommodation is much less expensive than booking it from Europe, because you can find hostels, you can find all those opportunities. So being there allows you to see a lot of more things that you would if you traveled from Italy.
So a question from Tommaso is, what about social life and nightlife? So, I mean, Italy or Milan isn't exactly renowned for its nightlife, but maybe some people are seeking more of a night-based experience when traveling to their exchange destination. So what would you say about nightlife in Hong Kong?
Yeah, no, I would say that it's actually, as you can expect, Hong Kong is very international as a city, especially if you're there as an exchange student. You are like in the vortex of the Erasmus and exchange students, and you are basically, there is something to do every night, either a pub or a club to go there, either have just a beer or more than one, or just go dance there. It's very international, like normal music as you would have in Milan, and normal situations as you would have in Milan. Nice places as well. Sometimes maybe less fun, but this is my point of view, because I like nightlife in Milan for what it is, and in foreign countries they have a different idea about nightlife sometimes. So any difference is not difference that I would immediately notice. Basically, they do exactly the same things as we do, but because it's not really an Eastern country or city, Hong Kong, it's basically a very Western country, so a very Western city. There is Western people doing Western things.
So last question before I let you go, but Agnese asked, is it easy converting exams? So I know you can have, a certain bit of leeway with the exams that you do convert, but most of them have to comply with, what you would have been studying in Bocconi. So what was your experience with converting exams?
Okay, as I said, I studied my bachelor was finance, CLEF in Italian at that time, and we had absolutely no problems. We were able to convert two optional, like two elective exams, and 3 curricular ones. So all of it was pretty easy, and I believe that you shouldn't stress about it. Of course, check before applying if everything is all right, if in the past the exams were converted, but especially if you're like Bocconi's bachelors have exams that have their basically correspondence in most universities in the world, such as I'm thinking corporate finance or any elective things that are studied anywhere else. So we had no difficulties, but I've heard very few people having difficulties anyways.
All right, well, thank you so much, Antonino. It was a pleasure having you here, and I hope you've swayed some people's minds in the direction of Hong Kong.
Yeah, I hope as well, guys. As you can see, there are my contact details, like in the bottom right part of the slide. Feel absolutely free to reach out. I'm happy to answer all your questions, either like more broad and general or more detailed about your personal situation. And I really loved Hong Kong, so I hope you'll be pretty more convinced about the destination than you were before.
Awesome. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. And now we move on to Malvina, crossing the border into China. How are you, Malvina? Introduce yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Give me a second, sorry. Okay, nice. Sorry. So I'm Malvina Mehta. Hope you can hear me well, everybody. So now I'm my second year master. So like Antonino, I went for my exchange during my bachelor almost 2 years ago. So before COVID, it's been a while, and I went to China. That's it, mainly. So,
can you remind me, which university did you go to? So
I went to University
which region as well?
University of Nottingham, which is a UK university, so it's an English university, which also has 2 campuses out of the UK, which is one is in China, the one which is in Ningbo, which is a city which is 2 hours from Shanghai, and another campus which is also in Malaysia. But I think that at least at the time when I applied, it was not among the options for exchange with Bocconi.
So going to China means completely leaving your comfort zone whatsoever, and immersing yourself in a completely different cultural experience, and often, you know, unknown. How did you deal with the let's say quite large differences in culture, and what are the differences that you have perceived the most?
Yes. When I applied for my exchange, I wanted to go somewhere completely different from what we are used in Western countries, in Europe and whatsoever. So I put many different countries in South of Asia, China, Japan, South of Africa, Argentina, many different countries. And then I ended up in China, which was like my ninth choice. So it was definitely not one of my first choices. So I didn't really want to go there, but I still decided to go because I wanted to live. I wanted to test myself. And I think China, I can say this, that China is definitely, I think, the country which is the most diverse from what we're used here. So if you want to go somewhere to challenge yourself and to really see something different from what we're used here, I think that definitely China is going to be that place. There's not, I don't think there's going to be other places which are way more different than China is. And because I think you can experience a cultural shock in very different ways that you can even imagine. Because before going there, I asked a friend of mine who was already in China, and he was like, "Oh, be prepared because nobody speaks English." And you're like, "Okay." But when you go there and you really realize that nobody speaks English, it's kind of trauma. Like, you really, even when you want to stop someone to take a taxi, they don't even stop for you because they see you that you're not from China. And then they know that they can't interact with you. They know that they can't speak with you. So first of all, for sure, the language is something that even if you know it before going, it's something that when you experience it, it's very hard because we are not used to it. Like even if in Europe, if you sorry, even if you're not, if you need, sorry, even if you don't have a pretty good English, still you can manage to talk and have conversation with people. But in China, no, you don't. So first of all, the language. Second, as Antonino said before, something that I didn't know when I applied for China is the fact that if you go there as an exchange student, you just have your visa with one entrance and one exit. So it means that you can't just go in and go out of China at the end of your exchange. You can't travel in South of Asia. When I put China in among my 10 choices for the exchange, I was like, okay, I want to go mainly in the south of Asia. So because I wanted to travel there, so like, okay, it's gonna be cool. But then I understood that when I got selected for China, I found out that I couldn't go out of China before the end of my exchange. So this is for sure something that you should be considering. So language, the fact that you can't travel abroad, for sure the food is something that also you should be considering, and it's something that you really can experience also a kind of shock, because I used to consider myself as a very adaptive person, and I love food. Like I can eat everything, and I've never been experiencing any I've never been having any bad experience with food, I can say. But when I went to China, it was like, okay, now you can see here some pictures of the food. And when you go to restaurants, it's cool. But when you have to eat always at the canteen, for example, with the same food, which is completely, trust me, different from what we see here, it's something that you have to be prepared of. And I actually wasn't for that. Like I was like, okay, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. But when I went there, then it was kind of traumatic too. Then you obviously you get used to it, but you have to be prepared for it. And one last thing that I'd like to say is the fact that also how people interact with you is different. As I said before, for example, if you want to stop someone to take a taxi, they don't even stop for you. Like then we realize we have to use Uber, because with Uber, they for sure they're gonna come. But if you try to stop a taxi somewhere in the middle of the street, they're never gonna stop for you, because they know that they can't interact with you. And I think they're also, I'd like to say, as population, they are a bit more shy. So even with students, it has been a bit more difficult to interact and make friends with locals.
So a question from the chat, which I seem to have skipped, which is from Elena. She said, is it risky to choose countries such as, I mean, not in your case the US, but countries in Asia or Latin America regarding COVID? Or let's even change the question and say, is it risky in general, considering that, you know, in China there is to a certain degree censorship, and there is quite a lot of, you know, it's a completely different experience. So would you say that there's a large aspect of risk in going to China or not?
But I don't understand. You mean risk in terms of safety? You risk in terms of
in all forms. So in terms of safety, in terms of COVID, and in terms of just not having a good time.
Okay, so I can say that while I was there, I couldn't properly say that I was really enjoying my time, but because my personal experience was such that I was having some difficulties that I wasn't prepared to fight with in that moment. So, but after a couple, like the first 2 months, they have been very, very harsh for me. Even although I was in a campus which was very, very international, so also make sure of this, of the type of university you're applying for, their kind of services they provide, because for example in my university it was full of associations and stuff to do. There was a gym and everything, so, and it was also like a small city within the city, so it was like a bubble in which we were living in, but we were in China, but we were not in China. In terms of safety, I can say that like something that also Antonino, I remember when he came, he went somewhere in China, I don't remember where, as a tourist for a couple of days, and he was surprised by the huge amount of cameras everywhere. Like everything is super controlled. Everything, like even when I was just going out of my room, it was full of cameras. Like, so in terms of safety, I don't think I had a personal bad experience, but it was just, I think it's a very outlier. But I've never been feeling like threatened or anything. So in terms of having a good time, you should like really consider yourself. What is your likeliness to challenge yourself and to be prepared for very different things. In terms of safety, instead, I don't think it's a problem. In terms of COVID, instead, so, I can't say because I wasn't there when COVID existed yet. But I think things are different now after 2 years of pandemic.
So I'll ask you two more questions and then I'll move on. The first being, how is the nightlife and the general campus life, at least where you went to NUBS? And then I'll ask the second question as well right now, so you can answer them one in a row. But considering that you went when exchange scores and predictions were more reliable, would you say that they held true, the exchange scores on the exchange calculator when you went on exchange?
Sorry, I didn't understand the second question. Is it about conversation exams or?
For example, the thresholds for the various exchange destinations for your GPA, etc. Did with the B-Lab exchange score calculator, were they very accurate for you, or?
Well, I'm gonna go with the first one since this one is a bit more technical. So nightlife in China, I really had a lot of fun. Like if I had to recommend you of something that you should be doing in China, is like go have nightlife in China, because like as you can see here, for example, I have some pictures with people that I don't know, because since they're not used to see people from the Western countries, they just stop you in the middle of the road and ask you for a picture because they wanted to keep it so that they can say they have been seeing people from outside China. And even when you go partying, like it's like everybody comes there to bringing you stuff, even if you have not been ordering anything, just because they're glad that you're there. So for sure it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and also the music, it's quite different. Like it's not just Chinese, it's also international music, but they have a different type of partying than what we have. So I really had a lot of fun. Although I was not in Shanghai, like I was in a smaller city, which was like 8 billion people, so it's a lot. Still, it was very, very fun. And with respect to the second question, is that about the calculator, I don't know. For me, it was the calculator was pretty much accurate. For me, I at the end I realized that I made some bad choices because it was a sheet. I ended up in my ninth choice. But for example, in this university, I wouldn't have been during my first year, in the previous year. So I think you should also be considering not just in like what your GPA with the previous year threshold, but also look at the trend, like how it's been going during the last year. So how is it likely to be this year?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Malvina, for talking about China. It seems like it's an amazing experience. I forgot to show a few more pictures of you in China here, which I'll just leave up for a few moments. But yeah, thank you so much for talking about it. And it sounds like it was really a wonderful experience on your end.
Thank you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop me a message and we can talk about it. Bye.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Now we move on to Chiara Burastero. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Do you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see you and hear you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you did for exchange.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Chiara Burastero. I'm a third-year CLEX student, and the last semester I went to exchange in Paris. The school was IESEG School of Management, and I went there from the end of August to the end of December, and it has been an amazing experience. I loved the city because it had so much to offer, and you could never get bored in Paris. And it's been amazing. Like it was even better than I had expected it. And so I'm very grateful for it, because I had the chance to see many things, visit many exhibitions, museum in a very brief period of time. So I really enjoyed it, and the university was not very stressful, so I had a lot of free time to do whatever I wanted.
So, Chiara, what appears to be one of the hardest things consistently for students, trying to go to Paris in general, not only on exchange. How did you manage to find an apartment in Paris? So you're living?
Well, probably finding an apartment in Paris is one of the hardest things to do, because Paris, like rents in Paris are extremely high. It's super, super expensive, and it's very hard to find someone who who has the willingness to rent you an apartment for just 4 months. And like I was very lucky because there was a friend of my dad who had a flat in Paris, so I went there. But like the people who came with me in Paris, one of them stayed in a residence. So like there are a lot of residents, but you have to apply much earlier because they get full very soon. And otherwise, what I can suggest you is to start looking much in advance and like look for apartment on the internet. There are a lot of websites, so like if you need them, you can contact me. I will send you everything, all the links. And also I suggest you looking like to check Facebook groups, because like there are a lot of proposals and offers for apartment on Facebook groups, and there are a lot of people who subrent apartment. So like what I would say is to look for them on Facebook and using some website that do it, but it's very complicated and it's going to be pretty expensive. Yes, so, like can I answer like one question, because so life is like, I knew that life was more expensive than in Milan, but it was more expensive than expected. Like for example, public transport is very expensive because it's 75 euros per month. Like the subway is very efficient and you can get everywhere in a very short time, but it's pretty expensive. And also like the food, the cafe, everything compared to Italy is much more expensive. Also, like going out for a drink, cocktail cost on average from 12 to 15 euros, like in average location. So yes, it's pretty expensive.
Okay, so Chiara, with regards to your university experience, because that's in the end what you're going to value the most. How was it? And in comparison to Bocconi, I mean, you're not very far away. I think it's a 6-hour train journey if you take the fast train from Milan to Paris. So how was your experience?
Well, to be honest, it was completely different because like also classes were very small. Like we were 30, 40 people per class. And like the didactic approach is completely different because you do a lot of assignment. The participation is often very important. There are a lot of group works. So like you don't study as much as you do in Bocconi, but you may have to spend some time doing group projects. But overall, it's less stressful and time-consuming compared to Bocconi. And like at the university where I went, there were two kind of courses where we had extensive courses that lasted all semester long, and we had intensive courses, and intensive courses lasted only for 1 week. So for 1 week you did only one subject, and then the week after you would have the exam. So it's pretty different, and it's a much smaller university rather compared to Bocconi. Like we were, I think, I don't know, 2,000 students, something like that. And it is in La Défense, which is like the financial quarter of Paris. But like it's very easy to reach it because it's like 15 minutes from the Louvre to La Défense taking the subway. So it was also very easy to reach, and also that's one of the reasons why I choose that one, because a lot of other universities in Paris are not in the city center, but they are very far away. You have like to take the train and do 1 hour train to go to Paris instead. Yes, like the School of Management is very near Paris city center.
Awesome. It sounds like you really made a lot out of your experience. So I'm going to reuse a question that has been asked a lot, and I think students really do want to know about it, which is, how was the nightlife in Paris? I mean, one of the photos right here is you in a nightclub. I mean, it was a video, but I had to cut it out, sadly. But so yeah, how was your nightlife experience?
Well, in Paris, like the nightlife is amazing because you can do whatever you want, where you can have every kind of experience. There are a lot of clubs, a lot of bars, like especially in Paris, there are not as much club as in Milan, but like there are some bars who also like tend to put music after some hours, and like there are all like there's always a lot of people around. There are many different neighborhoods in which you can do different things. So it was very nice, and I felt very safe in Paris. So like if I had to go back home at like 3 a.m. in the morning, I felt safe, because also the subway in the weekend, I think the last subway is at 2:45 a.m. So you can also easily go back. And yes, it's great because there's like a lot of stuff you can do, and you can go like in every part of Paris for something different that is offered. So yes, it's pretty amazing the nightlife in Paris.
So the last question that I want to ask is to do with, you know, the stereotypical French student at Bocconi. Did you come across a lot of those, or was your experience far warmer and, let's say, very different to what you expected?
Well, to be honest, I think that Parisians are a little bit different from French people in general. And to be honest, some stereotypes about Parisian people, they are true. Like it was very hard to go out or to even talk with like Parisian students at the university. It was much more easier like to hang out with international students, because sometimes like they tend to be a little bit cold and introvert, like compared to Italian people. And to be honest, I didn't I hung out just I think twice with two Parisian girls from my class, but I didn't really have a chance to go deeper, because they were not like during classes, to be honest, they talked within their group, but they didn't talk to you. So it was hard under this point of view. But like there are a lot of there are tons of Erasmus in Paris. There are many Erasmus. There are many international people. Like I met a lot of Italian people also over there. So it's very easy to make friendship. It's not that hard, but like probably it's going to be harder to make friendship with a Parisian boy or girl.
Well, Chiara, thank you so much for coming and talking about Paris. I hope, you know, everyone has, you know, had a slight sway towards Paris in this sense. I mean, the photos as well, just an absolutely gorgeous city. Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, and like if anyone has some question, don't hesitate to contact me. Just write me, and I can tell you everything you want about both the city and the university. So I'm available.
I just want to ask very quickly, with regards to the slides, did the same thing happen again where the slides got stuck? Like, could you see your slides, the photos that
yes,
you placed?
now I see them. I didn't see them before.
Ah, okay, sorry. Well, I'll just quickly go through them since we have a little bit of time until Lorenzo joins us. So do you want to maybe talk about one or two photos and where you took them?
Yes, like I didn't say one thing, but the amazing thing of Paris is that you can take a one-day trip. For example, like the photo in the left corner was taken in Versailles, which is amazing. It's like 45 minutes from Paris by train, so you can get there very easily. The gardens are amazing, and especially if you are going to Paris in spring, they are beautiful. So like I highly suggest you to go to Versailles. And like the photo, like on the upper left corner was taken the second day I was here, and like we had a picnic with some international and Erasmus students under the Tour Eiffel, and it was amazing. It's one of the best memories for sure. So yes, I loved my experience, and I highly suggest Paris because it's amazing, and it can offer you so much. And also, yes, here, like in the photo of the center, I was at the club, and the upper left photo was taken in Giverny, which is the country, yes, the village where Monet lived, and that's like the Lily. It's the yes, like it's
What's
the
it, no?
the I don't know well, like it's the place where he lived and like where he painted. So it was very nice.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Chiara, and
Thank you.
we will now move on to the UK. I don't know if Lorenzo is here yet. We have one quick question for you before you leave, Chiara. Have you learned French in the time being?
Okay. Well, I improved my French. To be honest, like I could understand French pretty well, also before going there. But like you can improve it because French people speak very, very quickly. So you have to be very careful, like when listening, and also I improved like my reading and my speaking a little bit. I didn't improve my writing, even if I did like an advanced, like a B2 French course when I was there. But I really didn't have a chance to practice like the speaking part because, like I said before, I didn't really get close with any French student. But like if you want, you can improve it, and also the university provides courses of different levels. So yes, if you want, you can too.
Thank you, Chiara. Okay, so we're gonna start
Bye.
with Sara Gambardella. Sara went to St Andrews in the UK. I hope it was in Scotland. Sorry. I hope you can all see the slides of Sara's slides, right?
Yes, Felix, we can see them. It's perfect.
So Sara, introduce yourself. Who are you? What did you do?
Hi everyone, I'm Sara Gambardella, and I've been for my semester abroad in Scotland in St Andrews, which is 2 hours in the north, like from Edinburgh. And it's the university where William and Kate met, and is currently, I think, the first in the UK rankings. So
yeah.
It's a pretty good university in general.
So Scotland rings bells in my mind of, you know, wet and dreary weather, cold and windy nights, and you know, a lot of beer drinkers and a strong accent. To what extent is that statement true, and to how far are they, you know, outweighed by the positives, by the benefits?
Okay, so the weather is not the best part of my exchange because literally, okay, September it was fine, even October, I think, yeah, it was fine. And then after that, in November, it started to be very cold and there were a few storms. They were pretty bad, so the weather was bad in general. And during the night, it was always below 0, so it was freezing. And at the same time, there is light only for a short period of time. So in December, the sunrise is at 8:30, 8:45, and then the sunset around 3 p.m. So it's pretty bad for us Italian and in general for Mediterranean people, because I mean, it's always so dark and cold. But I mean, except from that, landscapes are beautiful and it's such a different place. You are completely immersed in the nature, even because St. Andrews is a pretty small town. So you know everyone and you stay a lot in contact with the nature. Also, it's on the sea. So there are a lot of beautiful beaches and you go there also to do activities in September, which is not too cold. We have a lot of different activities. So the weather is not the best one, but at the same time, I would say it's not a problem. There are so many beautiful things to do, and people, like Scottish people, they are literally so friendly and welcoming, so it's not a problem. And I also met so many other international people, so not only Scottish people, a lot of Americans or people from Turkey, for example, so it's pretty international. St. Andrews, I think, is one of the most international universities in the UK, so it won't be a problem. Like the language, it won't be a problem. even because out of 4 professors, 4 of them were not Scottish, so they were from abroad. One was Turkish, one was from Egypt, and the other one was Japanese, and the other one, honestly, I don't remember, but they were not Scottish, so the English was more American English than British English.
So for the past hour and a half, we've been hearing a lot of, oh, it's academically not as, challenging your exchange. You're really gonna have fun. You're gonna spend your time, traveling, etc. However, from what I hear from or heard from your perspective, this isn't 100% the case in St. Andrews, right?
I mean, yes, it's an unpopular opinion because everyone always says, yeah, Bocconi is the most difficult university you can find, and you can go anywhere else and it will be easier. I would say it's not completely true. I think St. Andrews is the Bocconi of Scotland or something like that, but I've been studying a lot. I mean, I still had the opportunity to go partying. I made a lot of friends and I went out. I was part of the cheerleading squad. I was part of the Italian society. So honestly, you have time if you know how to organize your time. And so also the method is pretty different because we had to write so many essays. So I think that was the most difficult part because I didn't know how to write an essay in their method, and I didn't know how to reference, so I got the penalty for referencing so many times. And also the way people study is pretty different because at Bocconi they just give you a book and you need to learn everything on the slides or on the book. Then you go to the exam and you get 30 without just knowing what is written in the book. For the UK system is a little bit different because you need to read a lot of academic papers and journals, and then you have to come out with your own idea and just write your essay, which is pretty subjective. So you can get a low grade just, I don't know, because your idea was not what the professor meant, or I don't know. But except from that, it's good. I mean, I didn't get low grades or just a couple, but then my GPA remained constant. So I've been studying a lot, but at the same time, I learned so many new things. So honestly, my recommendation is to go to Scotland in general or the UK in general, even if it's difficult from the study point of view.
So I think I'm in a little bit of a privileged position here. I mean, being a UK citizen myself and having come from the UK, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a comment on the photo in the top left corner, right? I'm coming here, after a year and a half of luxury in Italy, eating good food. But I mean, the top left doesn't precisely ring, Gordon Ramsay or Italian cuisine, So how would you describe the food, and would you say it really is as shocking as it's got its reputation to be?
Okay, so basically I stayed in a residence and I was catered, so I had breakfast, lunch, and dinners included in what I paid at the beginning for my accommodation, and the food was literally awful. So there is one picture in the left corner, and there were always boiled potatoes or like white rice without anything on it. Food so was very bad, but at the same time, my advice is to go to residencies and to choose the full catered option, because I had the opportunity to make so many new friends, because it's literally the Harry Potter room where they eat all together. So I had so much fun knowing new people, and it's completely a different vibe. So my recommendation is to go. Is literally an opportunity to meet new people. So just don't care about the food. You can live for 4 months with bad food, but it's the experience that counts more for me.
So, Lorenzo, I'm just gonna quickly pause on what Sara said and just introduce you as well, because otherwise you'll be sitting there, idly. So Lorenzo, you went to study in London, right? So then we can have both of your opinions on certain questions. You're on mute, Lorenzo. You're muted.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Hi, everybody. What did you say, Felix? I didn't get the last part since the audio went off.
Just so that the questions I can now ask both of you together. Your opinions on the UK and the experiences you've had. But just introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, I'm Lorenzo. I did my exchange semester in London at City University in the Base Business School, and I think Sarah's and my experiences are pretty different, since Scotland and London are pretty different places and environment. London is a very big city, and is compared to maybe Paris, is one of the most active cities in Europe, and it just lives by itself. I mean, it's not comparable to any other city in Europe, I think, and even the experiences and the environment there is different. It's not better or worse. I just mean it's kind of different since it's much more dispersive. University there is not very compacted into the community that you could find maybe in Scotland, since a lot of the events, a lot of the activity is just around the university environment. Since London is a very big city, this doesn't happen. So you have the universities are very big universities, lots of students, incredible communities, very multicultural one. But the negative aspect of them is that you cannot find lots of community around those universities. At least that's my impression, because all the people just they finish the academic lectures and stuff like that, and they just go and have fun around the city. So it's kind of dispersive in that way. My experience was incredible. I spent 3 months there in London. I met lots of people. Multiculturally, it's an incredible city. It can give you a lot. And even if you are willing to go abroad, but you're not very prepared to face, for example, Asia or Latin America or Africa, you could find a lot of culture that have this in common with those environments that are furthest from London or Italy. So you could find a lot of Asian, a lot of African, a lot of Latin American, as well as North American and the rest of Europe. Basically, the whole world is there. So even if you're interested about China, for example, you could find a huge community there in London, and you can learn a lot. I went into a residence. I didn't have like the canteen service, so I had to cook by myself. I selected the food, so the food experience wasn't that bad, or at least it was acceptable. But in terms of culture, in that residence, there were lots of many nationalities. So I had the opportunity and the excuse to dive into the Asian cultures. I met a lot of Chinese friends, for example. I bonded with them, and I explored a lot about their perspective, which is a lot different compared to ours. So London is basically a very good city, a very good location to have an exchange, in my opinion. That's it.
So the UK, I mean, with Brexit, it's getting a little bit more expensive, and I mean, London is already seen as one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. How did you guys find a way around dealing with the cost of living? I mean, I remember friends of mine telling me that you won't be able to find an apartment for less than 950 a month in London. So what were your experiences?
Okay, London is, I think, one of the most expensive cities in Europe, and it is true, I can testify it. But in terms of rent, for example, I paid basically the double of the rent in Milan, so it's incredibly high. But at the other side, I choose to travel in the first semester, so since I pay rent in Milan, I decided to stop my rent payments, so I decided to go back home in the summer, and so I stopped paying rent in Milan in June, since there were exams online exams, So since June, I didn't pay and until January. So I did like this all these months without paying a rent in Milan, and it's a lot of months, it's a lot of money, and so I used that earnings in a way to pay London, 3 months in London, and they basically kind of sum up the two sums. So it wasn't a problem for me to face financially a higher rent in London, since I just stayed there for 3 months. Since my university, we did everything in 3 months. So rent is, I think, the most expensive expense, of course. So I faced it in this way. Comparing Milan to London, talking about food or going out, I think that London could be pretty competitive in terms of prices. So you could find a lot of opportunities with low budget location, still potentially high quality or reasonable quality. Even if you want to go outside London, trains are very cheap, at least the one in England. So I think if you cut off rent, it's a very livable city, and it's fine. It's like Milan, more or less.
All right. So Sara, what about your experience?
Yeah. So St. Andrews provides us, like, every exchange students will have an accommodation residencies is their policy. So I mean, that's good. And I paid around 800 per month, including all the meals. So breakfast, lunch and dinner. So it's not bad. Honestly, it's a good price. The problem was that on Saturday nights and Sunday nights, we didn't have the dinner included. So we had to go out for dinner. And that was the most expensive part, because if I wanted to go out just for a sandwich and a beer, it was at least 25 pounds, which is more than 25 euros. So it's literally expensive. And also we have the most expensive Tesco in the UK. I don't know, for no reason, but everything is so expensive in St. Andrews, because it's also a university where a lot of rich people go. So it's a little bit, I would say, expensive if you want to go out every single night. But if you're staying in halls and eating in halls almost every day, it's nothing too bad, I would say. So
the next question I want to ask.
Grant, we received 900 euros in total for our exchange experience, which is okay. It's not a lot, but still it's something.
Yeah.
So
I think
with regards, go ahead, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'm just saying that with that money, I think you can use them to pay the extra, like the price premium for food, for activities outside. So it's kind of, I think it's kind of okay if you try to sustain the rent expense. It's kind of fine for the other expenses. That's it.
So the last question is more about life outside of campus, and especially nightlife. So we all know the people from the UK have a slightly ravageous and savage nature when it comes to drinking, and sadly they don't really have the wine culture that we do here in Italy. So how did your nights out look like, and were they really worth, or did you also get as drunk as the British people did?
When I start, Sara?
Yeah, you can start.
Well, London is full of places where you can get, a good beer, and I think it's more about the beer culture than the wine culture, definitely. But yeah, it's very diverse even there, and if you are like a wine lover as me, I didn't like. I do not appreciate beer that much. I mean, you can find everything in London, so that it is no problem. You will definitely have a lot of fun in England, especially with clubbing, especially with just going around. Even if you're a chill person, you don't like clubbing, there are many occasions that you will have fun doing something different. but yeah, the only thing about London, and definitely and specifically about London, is that clubbing costs a lot. It's like crazy because there is no middle, there's no middle prices. It's just high or low. And with low, we mean many people just packed into places in central London. Not dangerous at all. I mean, it's completely fine. It's just a little bit packed. So that's what that's the negative aspect. You would have fun, but it's very crowded. On the other part of the spectrum, you have many fancy, very fancy places when you could. They could ask you even to pay like £100, so a lot of money just for a night, but definitely high level clubbing and high level, how do I say, enjoyment. That's it. Go, Sarah.
So for us, it was completely different because St. Andrews is a small town. So we have the student union, which has its own like club, and it's only £3 every night. So it's pretty cheap, honestly. At the same time, for like alcohol, okay, people drink a lot, and they have a completely different culture. If you go out at 3 p.m. and you go to a pub, you will see people drinking at 3 p.m. after lunch. So it's completely different.
Same applies to
And also another thing which is really funny, because Bocconi tells always, like you cannot drink inside the campus, you cannot drink technically inside the residencies, while in St. Andrews they used to organize literally events and parties with alcohol inside the residence, and everything was free. So it's free alcohol, like for all the freshers week, which is the first week you just party, you go partying around with people. It's free alcohol in the residence with parties. So I mean, it's not bad. And also I was part of the cheerleading squad, and we used to go out and just have random nights. There were very popular pub crawls, so you basically had to change 10 different pubs and getting drunk. You had a challenge in each pub, and then it was funny, but they have literally a problem with alcohol. But I would say, if you don't want to drink, of course you can choose. But if you like drinking, it's a good place where to go. Alcohol is not high quality, I will say. I mean, there are so many good whiskeys or stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of that, but anyway, they don't have good wine. It's pretty bad. The wine they have is cheap and is not Italian. Even if they say it's Italian or French, it's not true. But they have some good beers, and that's a good point. But anyway, you will have fun, and you just drink whatever they give you, because often it's free.
All right, so thank you, Sara. I think that's all of the questions that I have for you, but I'm going to ask one question that Lorenzo missed now to him. From an academic point of view, what was the main difference between your university and Bocconi?
Yeah, London, I think it applies to Sara too, so to Scotland too. The teaching system is pretty different. So university is going to require you, if you're used to the Italian system, a little bit of a change in the perspective of studying. Basically, they do not ask you to just memorize things. They ask you to apply those concepts. So even if you study hard, I mean, memorize and fully understand the concept, it's just half of the effort, since you need to demonstrate to the professor that you know how to deal with that concept and how to apply that in the practical sense. So they're very pragmatic. Which is a thing that I loved. It was challenging for the first time, since it's a little bit of a change, but I think it works better because you don't have to memorize things just for the sake of of proving them that you know the concept. You need to learn it in a way that you will find it useful to know. So basically, even in terms of examination session, we didn't have to memorize everything. Exams were open books, so you could see your notes, you can see your books. And why do they do that? Because if you just write that definition, the mark will be 0 out of 10, out of 100. They do not require that. They just require the step above, so the application. And so all the study was focused about that. So we learned the concept, and then we just think about how we could apply that concept. In terms of my university, and that of course is different from uni to uni. I did my exchange at Bias Business School, and I think it was very convenient to have the exams there, since I find it easier than Bocconi. And even in terms of time schedule, we did our examination right before the week, 1 week before Christmas. So that means that we had to study hard since the start of mid-November, and we had exam. We finished our exam just in 1 week. We had 4 exams in 1 week, so pretty concentrated. And we finished the last exam on the 17th of December. That means that after the 17th of December, you are pretty free time. If you want to go with an exam in Bocconi in January, you're free to do that. But I mean, having Christmas, we're just thinking about 1 exam or 0 exams. It was great. I would do that 1,000 times again. So in terms of time schedule, Bayes University was incredibly good. We had to anticipate a little bit the session period, so the study hard kind of frame, which started, as I said, in November. But in terms of exams itself, we did a session just dedicated to exchange students. We did some exams that are called alternative assessment. That means that they were just for exchange students. The syllabus didn't change, so we didn't get any discount on the concept that we need to learn. But the modality, the way to examine us, it wasn't like 3 to 4 ways. I say that because an exam could be like 1 multiple question, 1 open question, 1 exercise, practical exercise. We just had the essay type of exam. And so we could focus just on 1 way to do the examination. That was the different thing, but even more convenient. And so it is totally doable to do 4 exams in 1 week at Bayes Business School, coming from Bocconi. The only thing that you need to be careful about is this change in the way of studying. If you get that, it will be easy if you study hard, of course, 1 month before, just from this mid-November on. You will do very good exams, and then you will relax in December after this session and in January.
All right, well, thank you so much, Lorenzo and Sara. It was a pleasure hearing from you and hearing back from my old country a little bit. And I wish you guys the best of the rest of the evening. We now have 1 more presentation, moving again across the world, because that's what we're tending to do here. And we are now going to Latin America, specifically to, I think, Argentina, with Francesco Saverio Stella. So welcome, hello, and introduce yourself. Ooh.
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here and share my experience with you. I'm Francesco, and back in 2019, I went to do my exchange year in Argentina, South America. Amazing experience. So let's go on.
Sorry, the slides are doing the same weird thing again. It's lovely. Here we go. Is it working now?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
So I've got a few questions for you. So from these questions, I mean, just by having a glance at them, it looks like you've almost changed continent in each one of them. I mean, you're in the mountains in one, you're near a lake in the other, next to the sea, then on a desert plain, and then in the middle of canyons. So tell us a bit about your traveling around Latin America.
when you go to South America, you have, I mean, you know you're going to an amazing place. And if you love nature, that is the place to go. So with my friends and with the other exchange students, what we would do is every weekend, or basically whenever we had time, we would just book flights a little bit, you know, everywhere in South America and have an experience. You know, accommodation is not expensive, so you can literally, you know, stay in either a beautiful place and paying not a lot, or you can sleep in tents or, you know, bed and breakfast like we did, and, you know, travel more and enjoy the country. So we went to a lot of places, actually. We went to Patagonia, then we went to Chile, Bolivia, Brazil, and Uruguay. And these are amazing places. I have the best memories.
So something that maybe a few students will be wondering is, did you know Spanish before you left for Argentina? And is it essential to your exchange semester, you know, having at least some level of Spanish?
Okay, so I did not know Spanish at all. It is necessary to pass the Spanish exam in order to go to a Spanish-speaking country where you attend a university in Spanish. And I have to say that is enough. When you go there, you will learn Spanish. It will not be hard to learn Spanish. It's a pretty easy language. And there's absolutely no problem when you do the exams, even though you do them in Spanish. Professors understand that you don't speak really well, so that won't be a problem for you. And many universities actually, if you talk with the professor and you do not feel confident enough to take an exam in Spanish, they will let you do it in English. No problem with that. Also, the people there, actually in Argentina at least, they speak English pretty well. So you will be able to communicate with everybody. Maybe the first 10 days where you're not familiar with Spanish. It is essential to communicate with people. So English will definitely help you. But yeah, not that important, I think. If you take a Spanish course before, it will just help you, but not necessary at all.
So you mentioned, you know, cost of living beforehand, and that it's, you know, relatively cheap to find an apartment. How did you find accommodation, and also what was it like living there, and you know, food, etc.?
Okay, so yeah, it's pretty cheap. Actually, Argentina is one of the cheapest countries in the world, like just a little above Venezuela right now, because the economy is pretty bad, sadly. We were living in this huge villa with 9 bedrooms. We were 9 exchange students in this villa with an agency that was called BA Plan. And there are a lot of agencies that gather exchange students, and you know, you basically rent a big villa with all of them, and that's I think the best way to go, because you can organize then parties, you can know a lot of people. We were with I think 3 French people, 2 Belgian people, and another 2, I don't remember where they were from, but you know a lot of interesting people with that option of, you know, living in an with an agency.
And so often, you know, there was a question here earlier about, you know, safety of going to places like Asia and Latin America. Did you feel safe in general when you were there? And also with regards to COVID restrictions, how was it when you went?
Okay, so let me first understand to the last part of the first question. Yeah, it is really cheap also to eat and do everything. Just think that if you want to go to a restaurant, you're probably not going to spend more than €7. And we ate at Don Julio, which is like the 13th best restaurant in the world, and we spent €24 each, with wine included. So it was amazing. So about safety, Argentina in particular is not dangerous. I can easily compare safety with Milan. I do not know anybody that had serious problems with safety. I know one person whose phone got stolen, but that's it. There is a huge nightlife, so you will never be alone, especially if you live in, for example, in Palermo, which is a neighborhood in Buenos Aires. You will never be alone. At 3 a.m. you will find 15-year-old girls just hanging out with their friends. So pretty safe. It is not the same everywhere in South America. If you go to Brazil, it is a little bit more dangerous, or Colombia, for example, but nothing crazy. If you go to certain places in the United States, it is more dangerous, definitely.
And with regards to COVID, did you experience anything?
I did not experience COVID at all. It was 2019, so it did not exist yet. I know Argentinians are vaccinated. Like, I think more than 85% of them are vaccinated. So that's the only information I have.
And can you perhaps tell us, what was perhaps a best memory or something that, someone has to absolutely do if they do go to Argentina, other than travel, because I feel like that's very evident from these slides.
Yeah, so definitely when you go there, people are so friendly that you will make a lot of Argentinian friends. I think this is a pretty unique thing. And so there are two things that you cannot miss. The first one is having a mate with all your Argentinian friends. So you basically just sit in a circle and share this sort of tea with all the people, and you all drink from the same straw, and that is the culture. You have to do it, and just talk about anything. This is very cool. Second thing is to do every Saturday, you guys will have to do, you must do an asado, which is basically a barbecue, Argentinian barbecue. It's typical, with your friends. So you have this huge grill, everybody has it, and you basically invite a lot of people over. You drink a lot of cocktails, beers, or whatever, and you grill meat, or usually meat, yeah. If you're vegetarian, you will have some problem with the asado, but you can make some peppers, I don't know, whatever. It's vegan friendly, actually, Argentina. Many people don't think so. And you just have the best time with your friends, with the Argentinian friends, very friendly people. That's it. Another thing you have to do is go out at night. That's amazing. Best nightlife in the world in Buenos Aires, I think.
So I just have one last question before we, close off and wrap up the event. But with regards to, the Spanish language requirement that you applied to, which ones did you apply with? Was it the Bocconi exam?
Yeah.
And it was second year, so B2.
B1 actually.
B1. Yeah. Awesome. And Pietro is just asking, are there universities in Latin America, for example, perhaps the one in Chile, that are taught in English that don't require a Spanish language requirement?
I actually don't know, but I know that when I did my exchange, if you wanted to go to a Latin America country, you had to pass the exam anyway. So even if there were universities that were teaching courses in English, you had to do the exam. Yes.
Awesome.
I mean, things could have changed. I don't know.
Well, thank you so much, Francesco. It was a pleasure having you. And honestly, just Latin America looks fantastic from all of these images. Definitely gotten my dreaming.
I wanted to do my master's degree there, actually.
Wow, that must have been very, very lucrative then, the fact that after that experience that you've wanted to go there.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up this event. It has been 2 hours of fun talking to a bunch of various students going to a bunch of various different universities. I have to thank Martina for having organized pretty much the whole thing on the Italian side. And in case you guys have any further questions, I'm always available to be sent a message, etc. So is everyone, or at least most people who spoke today. Their contacts can be found on the slides, and you can also find this recording on YouTube. And I can't wait to see you guys in presence again. So thank you all so much for listening, for being there along the journey alongside me, and I wish you all a wonderful evening. So thank you.